Click the links to join channel here over at Subscribestar. I have a mailbox. You want to mail me some comics. So this isn't Snow White, but this probably should be. She's definitely much closer than what they did pick. All right, so Snow White, yes, queen, slay, don't need no prince, charming, or audience. It's amazing. People come out and they look at these movies and go, oh, this looks like garbage. And then people, like the Twitter soy boys, they don't come out and say, oh, this movie looks great. This is why I like it. This is why I think this story's going to carry an audience, or why this actor's perfect for the role. They attack the person who's criticizing that the movie for various reasons. Like the people who are criticizing the movie are usually giving some concrete reasons to it. Like in this case, there's so many differences from the original story, or even from the movies that had gone before that interpreted the original story. This is just bears almost no relation to it, other than the obvious clickbait with the name. I mean, they do that with everything. Lord of the Rings and Rings of Power, or Charlie's Angels, or Ghostbusters, or all this. Almost any movie you can talk about in the past 10 years, it's the name. Oh, Lord of the Rings. Yeah, that sounds cool. I mean, Peter Jackson's movies, and everyone read the books, or at least the 4 books. And then you look at Rings of Power, you're like, what the heck is this? You must be Islamophobic if you don't like our Hollywood propaganda. Isn't Hollywood the same people that fly to an island to abuse kids? Okay, well, you got us there. And didn't you guys applaud Weinstein for like 40 years as long as he was making you? Okay, you got us in that one too. Okay, you got us there. And didn't you guys have Me Too, but then you abandoned it when so many left wingers? And okay. Well, yeah, you're going to have to concede some points. Hollywood's the worst people on earth. So they take a cherished German folktale, and they destroy it with Wokism. And when the Mary Sue comes out in defense of Snow White, you know it's going to suck. And it's also pushing the narrative that the whatever the left-wing feminist woke is on board with at the moment, whatever's topical, they're going to be absolutely on board with it. Though I got to admit, I do love Leishman at the Mary Sue. She's just so chubby and just so crazy with every take every take she has, just insanely left-wing. Everything she believes has a long history of failure, but it's going to work this time if the right people are in charge, or this movie's just going to knock them dead. And you look at the movies they're promoting, you're like, how is this going to find an audience? Oh, look, it didn't. Every once in a while, yes, every once in a while you come up with a Barbie, but talk about, a pig getting a truffle or something. That's, everyone, like Barbie, $1 billion for sure, but there's a whole long list of failures before Barbie. Even specifically for Margot Robbie herself, she's had a bunch of bombing movies and underperforming movies. All right, so I want to say Renee Zellweger, but this chick isn't that chick. This chick was in West Side Story, but it was in Spanish. They didn't put, it's Spanish and English, right? You go, okay, so subtitles for the Spanish? No subtitles, because Spielberg, I guess, didn't want an audience, which is what happened. You made a movie, and the point where people sit in the seats they paid for to watch it, that part didn't happen. You just made the movie that went to the company theaters, but people didn't. You get the idea. It's a weird way to make a movie. It's like, what was that Mel Brooks movie? Springtime for the Austrian Corporal. That at least was funny. You can make a Spanish movie, no problem, because 30% of the country, if not more, speaks Spanish. Or you can make an English movie. But if you're going to do a movie that's half in both languages or half in any languages, then you're looking for without subtitles, you're looking for a bilingual, fluent audience. So that's one Venn diagram. But the other Venn diagram is that also wants to see this movie, and that overlap of those Venn diagrams turns out to be not enough people to make the movie money. Anyway, so this chick did some interviews about Snow White and the oppressed 7 oppressed victims of disenfranchisement and marginalization or something. Oh, that's the other weird thing. It's Snow White and the 7 Dwarfs, right? From the story and the Disney interpretation on it. Except I think in this new one, only one of them is short, and the rest just look like kind of background actors who did a little Shakespeare in the summer and smoking weed. And for those short actors, they did some interviews with people who were looking for those gigs, and because of Peter Dinklage's comments like, oh, you can't possibly use short people in the role of short people, or dwarves in the role. I don't know what the politically correct term is. I don't want to get in trouble, but you can't use these short people in these roles. who he himself is a short person who made millions of dollars in Hollywood. So it's like, so you got your gig and then you kind of pulled the ladder up after you. And all those other actors, it would have been 7 primary actors and then stand-ins and then occasional stunt doubles. So all those actors are not going to get that job and that acting credit. Yeah. You're going to use tall people. And the short actors are looking around like, Hollywood's not exactly breaking down the door for us. They got Peter Dinklage. This would have been a really fun thing to do, or probably would have paid pretty well, but it would have nice little acting credit to. It would have been fun to do and paid well. It's like it's the perfect thing for these actors who they like acting. There's just not a whole lot of roles for them. It's awesome that Peter Dinklage prohibited them from making some easy money for a year's work. What a colossal douchebag. Anyway, so it's also not about a fair princess, as in a fair countenance, because this chick is mid. It's about treating people fairly, except, of course, for European people. Because the puppet masters say you should put all your energy on them and hate them. Don't focus on any other issue or group of people. It's just like all of Hollywood, and I know how often I say this stuff. I harp on the same issues, but all of Hollywood is an example of this, just the biggest Frankfurt School psyop, where, I mean, even if you don't want to look at this stuff, the mask has got to be coming off for these people, or at least the petals have got to be falling away from your eyes. You're starting to see this stuff. You take off the rose-colored glasses and you put on the They Live glasses. You're like, Hollywood is really weird. That's your start. To say it's weird and then to start looking with a little bit more detail to Hollywood. What are they saying? Like, what's their message? What are they, focus on? It's studied. It's not nothing. It's so pervasive throughout the culture. It's the biggest propaganda brainwashing campaign on earth. There's nothing bigger or more successful than what Hollywood has brainwashed people to believe. Hollywood has brainwashed entire generations of people to believe whatever they say it is, even if it's not a conscious belief. It's these subconscious prejudices that Hollywood has convince people are real. People are unable to distinguish between truth and fiction after being exposed to TV and movies. Anyway, it's not Snow White. It's Gal Gadot, and this chick are virtue signaling and probably just going to be smirking into the camera for probably too long. That's another thing to do with crap movies now. They make them 2 hours for some reason. So they're probably going to mention the patriarchy several times, maybe even cis, heteronormative, blonde man, bad, privilege. It's going to suck balls. Honestly, almost everything in Hollywood is going to suck. Maybe some Korean or Japanese movie is going to sneak through the cracks without a Hollywood political commissar to put just to F it in the A with wokeness. But the mainstream Hollywood future is going to be this kind of stuff. And I mean, you look at the past 10 years of movies, it's progressively gotten worse. That's where it's going. You can just kind of look to the future and predict. It's cringy now. This stuff is insane, and they lose money, and apparently they don't care about losing $50 million here or there. Oh, and the prince doesn't need to, is it Prince Charming? I don't remember. Doesn't need to come rescue her because women don't need men for anything, because any kind of heterosexual, nuclear family, tribalism, nationalism, anything like that is bad. It's like just a happy couple meeting and going off and having kids and forming these new tribal connections. That has to be destroyed. It has to be single chicks. Maybe they'll have a lesbian relationship. That might be 5 years away. No, not even 5 years away from Disney. I bet you it's not even 5 years. Where a movie like this with the witch and the princess, where if they instead had a relationship among each other, that's probably 2 years away. It's really probably just friggin' 2 years away. That's how far fast things are accelerating. Anyway, so they're probably going to make the prince an offensive stereotype of some sort. In fact, that's a guarantee. I'd put a bet on that. So she refers to him as a stalker in these interviews, and the romance isn't emphasized, and the love story is dialed down. So as people rightfully point out on Twitter, how exactly is this Snow White? Don't words mean anything? No, it's clickbait. It's like all the other names that name recognition is clickbait, because they're hoping that you'll get a nostalgia boner for these things and go see it, and then you realize, this is just, I mean, they did it with Barbie, but they did it very successfully with Barbie. That Barbie was a success because the advertisement, even when I said before the movie came out, I was looking at the ads. I go, this movie's not showing you anything. The ads are really tightly controlled to not give you a vibe of what the movie is. And then the movie came out and it was a total bait and switch, or like people didn't know it was going to be this woke, preachy, feminist kind of message. And to their credit, they pulled it off. It did $1 billion. And that'll probably actually work another few times. And then it'll stop working. But, if you make movies and you can get a net profit of like $400-500 million, that's obviously it's worth it. Obviously it's worth it. And people usually have short memories. It's not like people would forget wokeness from companies and from actors if they went back to normal for a while. It's like the intermittent chicken experiment. But Hollywood's not doing that. The percentage of woke is like 95%. So there's not enough good movies to break it up, where people are just getting this view of all of Hollywood. And it's just, oh yeah, all Hollywood sucks. You want to go see some movie and you first think, oh yeah, that sounds cool. And then you start thinking, oh wait, no, it's probably going to be woke and preachy these days. And the audience is reflecting that because the money is not there. Anyway, so no, this movie's not Snow White. It bears no relation to the original German story. Zegler and Godot, they're not even European. They're Middle Eastern, I think, at least originally. Isn't that cultural appropriation? They love the Europeans. Oh no, this girl wore a Chinese dress. And some Chinese American feminist chick is outraged. That was like 5 years ago. It's just the biggest. Social media was a mistake. So was the 19th. So yeah, they love the European stories so much, but they erased the European people. The rules obviously do not work both ways because Hollywood is so anti-white that it's just mask off cringe territory now. But at least people on social media are starting to see how evil these lizards are. And honestly, this chick seems like an idiot. She's the one who came off in the beginning when she got the role, and she goes, I'm not gonna like use makeup to lighten my face or something like that. I mean, she's already pretty light skinned. And it's like, if they wouldn't have got you for the role, if they wanted that, they would have got somebody who was Snow White. They got you because it's part of the humiliation ritual of a conquered people. And it's the Marxism. She's mid. They got someone who's just, it's the Marxism tries to uglify things as much as possible to make everything dark and depressing and bleak and despondent. And they go, no, it was always like this. Yeah, it wasn't. Some people remember. Anyway, so maybe this will ride on the tails of the girl power fest that was Barbie 1 billion. But every time she does an interview, she seems to talk about how crap the movie is. Like, she has no filter to her wokeness, and she doesn't know that her interviews are going outside her echo chamber. First of all, you got to change your perspective on your thinking of looking at Disney or Hollywood, that they're going to turn around. Like, eventually they're going to come to their senses. No, they've done too many intentional acts to show you this is what they want to do. This is the behavior. Oh, Kathleen Kennedy, how she's still at Star Wars? Because they want her there. Like, she's doing what they want. She's doing whoever has the power to hire and fire. She's doing everything they want her to do. That's why she's there. If someone was there for a year, they get rid of them. But they want the people who are there making these decisions are the people who are there, the people who they want there. No, Hollywood is not going to turn anything around. That, even thinking like that, is just absolutely impossible. Instead, double down and support all this woke accelerationism. Ultimately, they are going to hit some financial realities, because even big companies can't lose the kind of money that Disney is losing, or is it Warner Brothers, and a bunch of other companies when they're coming out and taking $50 million hits here and there, or even $100 million, or even more. You go, that adds up, and you do a balance of the sheets, and you go, okay, you're going to have hits to make up for these losses, and eventually the losses are so many, there's nothing, like, you're going to have a string of hits to make up for these losses. Disney's a little bit different because they've got old IP money coming in, and they've got theme parks and merchandise sale and clothing sale, and they have so many other, like, the movies is an aspect of the business, but they're essentially, I think, subsidizing their movies to make this kind of propaganda. But even them, they still can't lose. They still can't lose millions of dollars forever, because eventually the shareholders are going to look at this and go, "We're just going to have to take Disney in a different direction. If that means we have to get rid of the board to do some kind of I don't know, crisis of emergency vote or something to get different people in there. Which I think there is a guy who's got a lot of shares who must sit on the board who is trying to do that. And eventually it'll become like that's the only decision because you have to. It's a publicly traded company. You own shares in the stock. You have to turn it around at some point. But they're content to fail or bankrupt the company if they're allowed to, or they might take it right to the edge and dial it back just enough to start turning some profits. But really, who cares either way about Disney or Hollywood? Because the worse Hollywood gets, the better the chance for alternatives to spring up, and they have sprung up a little bit. But it's going to be eventually it's going to be inevitable when the mainstream is just putting out this kind of West Side Story with no Spanish subtitles. They're just constantly putting out these kind of movies that not enough people are watching that are objectively losing money. Eventually, someone else is going to get an investment company together and go, okay, let's try to put something out there that makes money. Oh, what a novel concept. Give the customer what they'll pay for. Yeah, not what they say they want, but what they'll actually pay for. Eventually that'll happen. Movies are not just a little preachy now. They are like the full gay cowboys eating pudding like in every other scene. And for some wacky reason, the audience isn't just isn't on board with that. Oh yeah, we had to give China an edited version. Oh, can we get the edited version? What are you, istophobes or something? But China's not istophobic? Oh, well, it's different for them. How is it different from that? Yeah, the BLT stuff you're pushing, it's not really connecting with the audience. You think maybe you should dial that down? No, we're going to make BLT kids instead. What was it? Some animation just came out with, instead of just having BLT parents in the background as the elements, what was that movie? Eternals did. They had an animation where the kids are involved in a relationship like that. And like, so we're 5 years away from having an adult be involved in a relationship with kids. Like seriously, it's probably 5 years away. It's going to happen unless, the culture war is just one aspect of everything else that's going on. It's just, it makes you sick the longer you look at this kind of stuff. Anyway, like, comment, subscribe. See you guys on next episode, maybe.